a vigor in there that just comes into you that you can't help but transmit it by the way you look, by the way you talk, just by the way you are. There's an enthusiasm that goes to our core. And you may have that gift naturally. Those of us who are extroverts, sometimes we can embrace that. People who are not have to work at it. I mean, that doesn't mean they're not enthusiastic, but it can mean that it doesn't always come out that way, even though the person may feel that way. So I remember I went to Brazil in October of 1978. And if any of you have been in a tropical country, you know that the rainy season lasts a long time. In the tropical area of Brazil, we have two seasons, the rainy season and the less rainy season. But there's usually always rain. So the rainy season starts I went in October, it starts in December, and it goes all the way until June. And about March of 1979, I had had enough. It was almost like the snow. At our house, I was there this morning and yesterday for meetings, and they have this big picture, and they must have got it off Google or something, and it's showing two giraffes. The snow is up until their chin, and there's a phrase in it that says, "This is getting ridiculous." And that's kind of how I felt with the rainy season. It was getting ridiculous. Everything got moldy, everything smelled, nothing dried. And by the time March, April came, we still had 2 months to go. And then a very wise Redemptorist priest, who was a friend of mine, said, well, you know, Nancy, this rain is the blessings of God. And I think that changed totally my perspective. I could go out when it was raining with or without an umbrella. It was fun to get wet because it was so hot. And I could see it in a different way. And my depression or my discouragement or my, I'm not going to say anger, but it was definitely a negative feeling I had. I wish it would just go away. My impatience, that's probably was with the rain, just, dissipated because I had a new outlook. I could see rain in a different way. And then we jump now until 2020. And I could probably hear wonderful stories from all of you on how you and your loved ones, your community, your faith community, your family have dealt with the fact that we were in lockdown. I don't know about you, but when I first started lockdown, it wasn't so bad because it was a novelty. Oh, this is really different. Look out the window, no cars. When I had to go down and buy some food, there was hardly anyone in the parking lot. Wow, this is really strange. But that probably lasted about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the year came. And here we are again, almost a year later. And so much has been written about mental health. So much has been shared about how to sustain yourself, how to keep in contact with community alone. We are saying paradoxical sentences and phrases that don't seem to quite fit, but it is our reality. So animation is not only a missionary animation, it's an animation with life. And I think once we understand the animation of life, we can certainly make any of those applications animation, a missionary animation. I'd like to read just a short passage from Luke. As you all remember, Jesus at one point sent 72 people out. They went in pairs. They had a huge, great experience. And what Luke says about their return is this: the 72 disciples returned full of joy, rejoicing. They said, Lord, even the demons obeyed us when we called on your name. Then Jesus replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. You see, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy so that nothing will harm you. Nevertheless, don't rejoice because the evil spirits submit to you. Rather, rejoice that your names are written in heaven. And the reason I chose that and was reflecting on it as I prepared for this is that it's human. It's very human for us to get all excited when our actions are positive. We're out there in the field. We plan this event, we plan the other event, and it's all successful. And we think that's it. We think like they did. Oh, we're just so happy. But Jesus gives us a very, very good lesson here. You know, guys, it wasn't that you could do all these miracles. It wasn't that people stopped and listened to you. It wasn't that you trampled on snakes, but it's because your name is written in heaven. And I equate that to our deep spirituality. Their names were written in heaven because not all these actions so much, but because they put themselves out as missionaries, they put themselves out to collaborate with God's project, with God's kingdom, or kingdom, as I like to say, kingdom, because we all are kin. That is why Jesus wanted them to realize that they had a lot to rejoice for. And if we just base our enthusiasm on our good actions and our successes, on how many people come to our talks, or how many people come afterwards and say, hey, you know, you did a great job, put it there. What will sustain us in that? We'll be okay for a while. But what do we do during a pandemic? What do we do when we can't go on mission? What do we do when we can't see the people that we want to serve? And I happen to be living in a economically poor mission church parish. It's very small. And most of our parishioners are elderly, and we can't get together. Our little chapel doesn't hold more than, with social distancing, more than maybe 15, 20 people. Mm-hmm. We haven't filled it yet. So what do we do? How do we sustain ourselves then with this missionary spirit? And that's why I repeat again, it's our spirituality which anchors us, which helps us to realize that, yes, Lord, thank you for the successes that your grace and your help have helped me to do. But thank you, Lord, for calling me. And thank you, Lord, for giving me the courage, for giving me the sustenance with this relationship that I have with you, so that I will always be a missioner, no matter what my particular reality is. Like Don, we seem to think a lot alike. I also consulted Joy of the Gospel. It's one of my favorite writings of Pope Francis, and as we know, it's particularly appropriate for us as missionaries because that's the main focus. And there's one thing that he says in here that I believe is very, very true and important for us. He talks in the beginning about many things that get in the way of being a good missioner, certain things of your reality and whatever, the temptations faced, he calls it. If you want the number, it's 76, temptations faced by pastoral workers. But I'd like to share one thought that he has here. Yes, to the challenge of a missionary's spirituality is the subtitle of this. Today, we are seeing in many pastoral workers, including consecrated men and women, an inordinate concern for their personal freedom and relaxation, which leads them to see their work as a mere appendage to their life, as if it were not part of their very identity. That, to me, is the key. Once the knowledge and the deep belief that your identity is one of missioner, then the other temptations of just worrying about yourself, or I'm not going to continue with this mission because I've had no successes, nobody likes me, there are no resources, so just let it go, or I want a mega opportunity or a mega result, and all I get is 2 people or 3 people. So once our identity is totally connected with being a missioner, we can sustain ourselves in the moments of discouragement, in the moments when animation is not very easy. I don't know how many of you know Father Pedro Rupe's prayer, and I don't have it memorized, but he has one. He says something about falling in love. And I see some nods shaking, so you might know it, huh? That once you've fallen in love, what you do in the morning, how you get up, what you do during the day, however you organize your life depends on that love. And spirituality, authentic and genuine spirituality, has its base in love, because God is love. I think that's a very important thing for us to remember and to do. Now, when we're talking about groups, for instance, I happen to be the director of formation for the mission trips that we are on. Bruce is our mission coordinator. And so together we work with the lay people who go on our mission trips. And when you're in a world that it used to be, it was easier for animation because you would get together and you could, in our formation sessions, we would have readings on missionaries, we'd see examples, we'd review the culture of the people, we would look at church teachings and writings like this from Pope Francis, and all of that feeds us. And all of that is really good, especially when we're doing it in community. I think true spirituality is always rooted in some kind of community, however you want to define that. It's not a personal thing only. And that's easy. You can get in contact, but what do you do when you're not going on mission trip? What do you do when you can't meet those people? And I'll tell you, I'm anxious to hear all of you too, because I don't have the miracle answers. I try to keep in contact through email. Bruce has made some videos that he sent around, and he's called up some of our mission people who are contacts, and they've made videos, and I'm sure all of that is very, very helpful in animation. But again, I'll say I also was a formator for my congregation for women coming to our community. You can have the best formation program around, you can have the best technique around, but if you don't have within yourself that spirituality that anchors you in your own identity and in the love of God, it won't hold. It won't work. So I feel we have a two-faceted responsibility to help our missioners and any of those who are interested in beginning a life of more conscious missionary work, to develop their spirituality. That should be part of any kind of preparation for a missionary trip, is we help people to develop that, because many times they come just with the idea they want to do something good and they want to be of service. And that's a great beginning, but it just can't end there. It has to be rooted in our love and our truly belief that God is calling us to be missionaries. So I'm conscious of the time. Dom gave me 15 minutes, and thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. And welcome to a few people. I see Father Jerry is here and Trevor is here. So welcome, everyone. I don't really have kind of a a set of questions, if you will, for our sharing time. Again, the questions that we've raised, that Nancy has raised, is a question of, you know, how do we, how do we go about forming folks, and how do we stay rooted in that fundamental belief that we have, that our names indeed are written in heaven. That reminded, when you said that, Nancy, it reminded me of the prophet Isaiah, that our names are actually written on the palm of the Lord's hand. So I'm going to put us into breakout rooms. There are now 10 of us. So I think I'll just put us into two groups of 5 each. That should, where's my breakout rooms? Welcome back.
Oh, Robert. Can see Robert now. Bob now.
Yep. So welcome back. Hope you had a good conversation. Kind of get your thoughts together. I think we'll have a little bit of time for an open conversation. Let me just do kind of this is a new segment. And so let me know what you think about it. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. This is, I call this the mission highlights. And I have to get rid of that floating meeting controls there, because that bothers everybody. And let's see here. So this is the mission highlights here, news highlight. I hope that you've heard about this. If you haven't, certainly we'll try to excuse me, make more information known about it. Pope Francis has already issued the World Mission Sunday Statement for 2021. Taking the theme from Acts 4:20. We cannot but speak about what we have seen and heard. Traditionally, it comes out at Pentecost, but this time it came out at Epiphany. World Mission Sunday, that theme has already come out for the year.
Where do we find it?
Yeah, we're going to put a link on it on our website.
Okay.
But if you just go to the Vatican, and I think it's usually called a message. If you just put in World Mission Message, it'll come up. It came out January 6th, excuse me. The other thing that's interesting is the Kampala document. The bishops of Africa, and this came out in January as well, has written a document on the re-evangelization of Africa. But I haven't found that document yet. I'm still trying to track it down. So if anybody has any connections, I'd love to get that document in English. The Continental Assembly of the Pontifical Mission Societies is happening right now. It's happening virtually. It's the CELAM in South America, and they're using as their theme what the Holy Father has said for World Mission Sunday. I didn't know this. Syria is preparing for a papal visit coming up just in a few weeks, March 3rd through 8th. Always, I mean, again, that's the Holy Father is doing a short-term mission trip. And so I think they're always very important to follow what he's doing there. I didn't realize this either, but the bishops of Nigeria have come out and said that they're afraid that the country will divide. So that's something to be aware of. And then recently, the Holy Father acknowledged the heroic virtue of 3 Italian missionaries. I think these were 3, and that's the picture that's up there. I think there were 3 sisters who contracted Ebola. So, yeah. So with that, let me stop sharing my screen. And we have a few announcements and closing prayer. But before we do that, let's just take a few minutes. What did you hear that you want to share in your conversation? You have to unmute yourself to do that, by the way.
I think for me, that animation has to come out of a passion for mission. And, I was talking to a friend on our team who's been a teacher for 40 years. And she, in effect, told me, you're a lousy teacher, but you have a passion for this. And I think that's the best I can hope for. And I hope that passion rubs off on the people I'm with.
Mm, 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 mm.
I didn't see us turning in on ourselves. I think there's a good spirit and a good commitment, and we're hanging in there. So it was edifying for me.
Yeah, that's right.
Don, I'm a part of a panel tonight of intercollegiate campus ministers, St. Edward's, Our Lady Lake, Texas Lutheran, and Trinity University. And our topic today is resilience. And it is interesting to see how the church have been resilient over the years. It always seems to find a way to bounce back. And it's what I'm seeing now. There's more goodness in people than there is evil, and people will respond to a need.
Right, that's right. Good. Any other thoughts? Nancy, you have any thoughts?
Yes, the challenge. One of the challenges I experience as a director of formation for missioners is how to communicate the enthusiasm. As I mentioned in our small group, you can have the best formation program around. You can have the best dynamics, you can have the best readings, you can have the best methodology, but if the person doesn't choose to embrace that and take that within herself or himself, the best program is not going to do it.
Right.
There has to be an effort and a decision on the part of the missioner, on part of the person to really embrace that. And I find that sometimes frustrating because I kind of think, well, that's my job, but you can't open their heads and put it all in, or open their hearts and put it all in. If we could inject missionary passion, that would be great, but can't do that either. So it's just challenging. You do your best, and then I say, Lord, you got to do the rest from here.
Yeah. I actually, in our sharing, I kind of found myself needing to kind of tap into my inner child a little bit, which is one of the reasons why I have a different virtual background. And I wanted to make sure that the folks from Texas felt at home. So I had to provide some snow in my background. And I thought it was a nice counterpoint to Trevor's virtual background.
Yes.
So, but just thinking about that, just thinking, when we were a child, what was the best part of us? And if we could kind of tap into that, whether it was innocence or joy or wonder or whatever, with kind of the best part of that, there's this wonderful image. It's a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And it's in a chapel, Christ the King Chapel at the University of Toledo. And she's teaching Jesus to walk, right? So she's behind Jesus. Jesus is a toddler, and he's taking his first steps. And on his face is this incredible wonder, like, wow, I can walk, you know. It was just a wonderful image, you know. So anyway, that was one of the takeaways from our small group. Try to recapture that sense of childlike wonder and bring energy into our mission work.
Just one
Okay.
other thought I have, Don, and
Yes.
that's how to help people move from the wonderful goodness they have of wanting to serve and not letting it just stay at that, you know, I just want to do good because it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I want, and sometimes some people feel, oh, I feel so bad because I have so much and they have nothing.
Right.
And
Right.
they go through a guilt
Right.
complex, and that's what's animating them to be of service. How do we help that move into my identity so that it's not because I feel guilty, but it's because it's who I am. It becomes part of me and part of my spirituality.
Right. Right. That's great, Nancy. That's good. That's a good insight. That's really a good insight. Well, let's bring our time to a close here. Going back to sharing the screen here, just a couple of other quick little, um, again, hiding those annoying controls there. So, and by the way, any feedback that you want to give me about the news highlight, I would really welcome that. Again, it was just part of our effort to kind of remain in solidarity. Some announcements. Again, the board is reaching out to all of our organizational members. They've already have done so, and they're sending in their reports. So we're really trying to get a sense of what our members are needing. We do have a webinar coming up March 11th. Matt Duca, he too is with Marinol, and he's going to do a presentation. It's actually going to be a 90-minute webinar on social analysis, or often called the pastoral circle. That promises to be very enriching. Doing a little program, just an hour program at noon. It says March 19th at 2, but it's actually, I have to double check that. That might be an earlier time. We're doing just a little prayer reflection on St. Joseph, since it's the year of St. Joseph. Our next accompaniment and solidarity is scheduled for March 25th. No topic is selected now, so if you have any ideas. Again, I mentioned this last month, we do have some resources for Lent if you're looking for them. We have a little meditations on the way of the cross called No Greater Love. It's free and you can download it. We learned this really from the work that we did on reconciliation, and to look at the stations of the cross. Don't look at them linearly, looking at them as episodically, one thing at a time. And so, maybe really what the Lord is calling us to is to look at, falling the second time, or looking at, being stripped, for example. So you look at the stations of the cross from a different perspective. And then again, we have our book review program. So if you want something to read, we've got a lot of books that we have to offer you. Okay, so closing prayer. Would somebody be willing to volunteer to read our closing prayer for us? It's the same prayer that we had at opening. Sister Michael Mary, would you lead us in our closing prayer? You have to unmute yourself.
Lord, I have let myself be deceived. In 1,000 ways, I have shunned your love. Yet, here I am once more to renew my covenant with you. I need you. Save me once again, Lord. Take me once more into your redeeming embrace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.